How's it going, everyone? Austin Honecker here. I just want to come on here tonight and I'm going to be covering All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark Elevation from tonight, which was March 22nd, 2021. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. For the matches, match one, it was Ty Conti versus Ray Lynn. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Ty Conti went over with the Hammerlock DDT. Match 2, it was Lee Johnson versus Adam Priest. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Lee Johnson went over with the Brain Dog. Match 3, it was the Varsity Blondes, which are Brian Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison, versus Fuego del Sol and Jake St. Patrick. That was a great match, but the ending to it, the Varsity Blondes went over because Griff Garrison pinned Fuego del Sol with the rolling elbow. Match 4, it was Max Caster versus Ryzen. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Max Caster went over with the mic drop. Well, before the match, after Ryzen was out and Max Caster came out, Max Caster done a rap on Ryzen, which was awesome. And believe it or not, Max Caster, even though he's a great wrestler, that son of a bitch can rap too. That was awesome. And after the match, Max Caster placed Ryzen's hands in his tights between his legs and stomped on his nutsack, which that was cool. Match 5, it was Red Velvet and Big Swole versus Maddie Rinkowski and Leva Bates. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Red Velvet and Big Swole went over cause Red Velvet pinned Maddie Rinkowski with the Just Desserts. Well, after the match, while Red Velvet and Big Swole were celebrating, Vicky Guerrero, Nyla Rose, and Jade Cargill came out and stared down Red Velvet and Big Swole, while Red Velvet and Big Swole were pretty much telling Vicky Guerrero, Nyla Rose, and Jade Cargill to bring it on. Well, Vicky Guerrero, Nyla Rose, and Jade Cargill ended up going backstage, and Red Velvet and Big Swole continued to celebrate. That was awesome. Match 6, it was match 6, it was Team Taz, which are Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, versus the West Coast Wrecking Crew, which are Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Team Taz went over cause Ricky Starks pinned Jarrell Nelson with the Rochambeau. Match 7, it was Danny Limelight versus Baron Black. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Danny Limelight went over with the rear naked choke. Match 8, it was Orange Cassidy versus Ryan Nemeth. That was a great match, but the ending to it, Orange Cassidy went over with the Mousetrap. Well, after the match, Ryan Nemeth attacked Orange Cassidy from behind with the Hangman's Neck Breaker, and Chuck Taylor came out and beat the shit out of Ryan Nemeth, and then J.D. Drake came out and attacked Chuck Taylor and beat the shit out of him, and so Ryan Nemeth and J.D. Drake left while Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor were laid out. That was awesome. Match 9, it was Ethan Page versus 5. That was a great match. But the ending to it, Ethan Page went over with the Ego's Edge. Well, after the match, Ethan Page cut a promo pretty much talking about how he was the best, how he was the greatest professional wrestler in the history of professional wrestling, and how nobody owes him money and praise, but to respect and appreciate and respect him and everything, which that was cool. And match 10, it was, match 10, it was Ryo Mizunami versus Layla Hirsch. That was a great match. But the ending to it, Ryo Mizunami went over with the head and arm triangle choke. Well, besides the matches, Dasha Gonzalez interviewed Ryan Nemeth, and Dasha Gonzalez was asking Ryan Nemeth how he feels about competing against Orange Cassidy and everything. Well, Ryan Nemeth was being sarcastic, saying that Orange Cassidy was cool with these shades and the hands in his pockets, but then was like, I can't pretend no more. And he was pretty much calling Orange Cassidy a disgrace to professional wrestling and talking about how he was how he was trained the proper way in professional wrestling and everything. Was pretty much talking about how he was gonna beat the shit out of Orange Cassidy and everything, which that was cool. Red Velvet cut a promo about the time she grew up, with her dad being a boxer and her mom watching wrestling, and her watching wrestling with her mom, and being a dancer and all that, and was talking about how she trained in the business of professional wrestling, hadn't looked back on it since, and talked about how professional wrestling was her life and everything, which that was cool. And Dasha Gonzalez interviewed Ethan Page. Well, Dasha Gonzalez was pretty much asking Ethan Page how he felt about going up against 5 of the Dark Order. Well, Ethan Page was pretty much being the cocky heel that he is, and was pretty much saying that he was going to destroy 5 because the Dark Order didn't like him and all that, and he was going to do the Dark Order a favor and take 5 out and everything, which that was cool. Tony Schiavone, besides all that, Tony Schiavone and Paul White done commentary throughout the whole show. Tony Schiavone did awesome as usual, and Paul White, this makes it the second week that he's done commentary for AEW Dark Elevation, and Paul White done awesome. And for, considering this being his second time, he done awesome. So pretty much Tony Schiavone and Paul White done awesome together on commentary. The referees for the event were Frank Gastineau, Mike Posey, Rick Knox, Paul Turner, Bryce Remsburg, and Aubrey Edwards. Okay. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Ty Conti versus Ray Lynn. Rick Knox refereed the match between Lee Johnson versus Adam Priest. Frank Gastineau refereed the match between the Varsity Blondes versus Fuego del Sol and Jake St. Patrick. Paul Turner refereed the match between Max Caster versus Ryzen. Frank Gastineau refereed the match between Red Velvet and Big Swole versus Maddie Rinkowski and Leva Bates. Aubrey Edwards refereed the match between Team Taz versus the West Coast Wrecking Crew. Mike Posey refereed the match between Danny Limelight versus Baron Black. Bryce Rimsberg refereed the match between Orange Cassidy versus Ryan Nemeth. Mike Posey refereed the match between Ethan Page versus Five. And Paul Turner refereed the match between Ryo Mizunami versus Layla Hirsch. All the referees done awesome as usual. But anyway, I just wanted to come on here for a while and give my review for All Elite Wrestling's AEW Dark Elevation from tonight, which is March 22nd, 2021. I gotta say, it was awesome from start to finish. And with that being said, my name is Austin Honecker, and I will catch your ass down the road.